I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Hey folks, this is Matt once again. Welcome to another edition of Big Flops. Basically talking about the films that flopped big when it came out, but I look at these films and I go, okay, did they deserve to flop or not? What reasons did it flop? And you guys can chime in if you've seen the movie or why you think it flopped and so on and so forth. It's the sort of same spiel I've given before. Now we come to another Charlie Sheen film. This is from 1997 called The Shadow Conspiracy. Now, The Shadow Conspiracy, unfortunately, was the last film directed by George P. Cosmatos, same guy who brought us Rambo 2, Cobra, Tombstone, among others, before he passed away by lung cancer, I believe. And Shadow Conspiracy, it's a film that I don't think has been released in the U.S. on DVD. I don't believe so. I know it's overseas on DVD. I know it's on VHS, and you can get like Amazon on demand or whatever. You can pay your $2 or so. I think there's actually something on here that you could pay $1 or $2 to watch. But it's a political thriller. It stars Charlie Sheen. You also have Linda. Charlie Sheen is basically a political aide. He's like a friend of the president. President played by Sam Waterston. Same guy who you probably remember more from Law and Order. He plays the president. And Charlie Sheen is his aide, pretty much good friends with the guy as well. You also have Linda Hamilton from Terminator. She's here as an investigative journalist who has some ties with Charlie Sheen in the past. You had Donald Sutherland as a friend of Charlie Sheen who also works for the government. And long story short, Charlie Sheen basically finds out from a friend of his who's this professor that there's a conspiracy in the White House and something to do with Shadow, hence the title Shadow Conspiracy. And basically the rest of the movie is just one long chase scene where Charlie Sheen is trying to get away from assassins. Assassin mainly played by Stephen Lane from Avatar, who did the in Avatar. I'm not a fan of Stephen Lane. I mean, like, I love The Hard Way, but Stephen Lane made a poor bad guy in that film. Stephen Lane just doesn't do it for me as an actor. But basically the rest of the film is Charlie Sheen escaping the assassins, trying to find out what's up with this conspiracy. Getting help from Linda Hamilton, well, sort of, but... Now that's pretty much the gist of the film. And the film, again, is George P. Cosmatos' last film. He passed away, I believe, in 2005. And the film got trashed by critics. It has a 0% right now on Rotten Tomatoes. I believe it has about a 4.7 on IMDb, so it does not do good marks. As for it being a flop, the film cost around $45 million and made like $2 million. So we definitely have a massive flop. I mean, $43 million flop. Very big flop. Now, as for the film itself, when I watched it, at the end of the day, I thought it was a time waster. Thought it was like an okay time waster, but it definitely got crapped on by critics, mainly because they just thought it was totally brainless, that it was stupid, it was illogical, it was unrealistic, totally brainless. a lot of the stuff that they said was brainless maybe just flew past my head maybe because I'm dumb, maybe because I don't live in Washington D.C. So I know critics have said that the locations, they kind of rejigger the locations. So like, wait a minute, that place is not near here and it's not here. Well, again, I never lived in D.C., so I never noticed. Uh, a lot of people flat Charlie Sheen. I think Charlie Sheen does fine. I like Charlie Sheen as an actor. Again, before he got crazy with winning, and all, 7 gram rock stuff. But, I like Charlie Sheen. I thought he did fine in here. Linda Hamilton as the reporter. I like Linda Hamilton, but she really has nothing to do. Like, he needs her help, but at the same time, she doesn't really amount to doing much. I mean, once in a while, a damsel in distress, and that's it. She doesn't really do much. Sam Waterston, I did not like as the president. He was very wooden. He was just... I don't know, the way he talked just seemed weird. I don't know what it was. I didn't think he gave a good performance. Donald Sutherland, when you see him on the screen, you know in 5 seconds that he's going to be the bad guy. And they play it off as a big twist. Oh my God, he's part of it. Donald Sutherland usually is, And I think the thing is, when this film came out, you had a lot of films like Absolute Power with Gene Hackman. You had Murder 1600 with Wesley Snipes. Even, Jack Ryan films like Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger. And to be honest, I don't remember Absolute Power, but Murder 1600, I didn't say I like Murder 1600. Sorry, I'm itching my nose. I like Murder 1600 a lot more than this. Although, on the other hand, I could probably watch this maybe over Absolute Power. I remember Absolute Power being boring. But, again, I haven't seen it in a long while. I mean, there's really not much to the film. I mean, it's an okay time waster in the fact that about 15-20 minutes in, it's just one long chase where he's being chased by the assassin, and the assassin, played by, again, Stephen Lane. I'm not a fan of Stephen Lane. And he's a really shitty assassin, because he kills everybody except who he's supposed to. Like, he kills a bunch of people at the beginning. He kills... Charlie Sheen talks to this professor guy, and he kills the professor, boom, right in the head, one shot. And it's a full 50 seconds, a minute, that Charlie Sheen looks at him and flops to the floor and turns around, and Stephen Lane stares directly at him. And then when Charlie Sheen starts to leave, that's when Stephen Lane pulls out his gun and tries to shoot, and completely misses. Also, another thing, Charlie Sheen runs into, basically gets to this glass elevator. Now he gets to this glass elevator, and he goes up, and there's Stephen Lane going up. Again, it's a glass elevator. He sees Stephen Lane sees him. Stephen Lane waits until his door opens, and, a woman comes in with a trolley. And then Stephen Lane pulls out his gun and tries to shoot Charlie Sheen. And this guy is not a subtle assassin. I mean, he's waving his gun in public. He's pretty much killing everybody except who he's supposed to. He's running with a gun in hand. I mean, he's like the worst assassin I've seen in a long-ass time. He's just a really shitty assassin. And the chase scenes are like, he goes from there to, then gets to this place where he opens up a grate, goes through this little waterfall thing. He calls for help, like Donald Sutherland. Takes him forever to realize, oh, wait a minute, this might be traced. Finally figures out after enough people get killed. Like, he calls the reporter guy, Terry O'Quinn, who then calls Linda Hamilton. But, of course, the assassin kills Terry O'Quinn. And you have a chase scene where, like, the various foot chases, you have, like, Charlie Sheen goes for help, or looks up some info. Steve Lane's in the apartment. He sneaks out, gets out of the fire escape, goes down and down very quickly. They're about ready to go, and unless the guy teleported, Steve Lane magically somehow gets on the rooftop of the car without them noticing. Like, if the guy jumped, you would have heard a boom. But no, it just all of a sudden, like, the vehicle Linda Hamilton's driving, it's like a Jeep. It has like a cloth cover so it can float back. or, you know, put back. And you just see Stephen Lee getting at Charlie Sheen, you know, trying to kill Charlie Sheen, and he unties the thing and it flaps up so that they get Stephen Lane away from him. And you're like, well, wait a minute, how the hell did Stephen Lane get from there to here? So I can understand those kind of, like, on one hand it seems like nitpicking, but they, you know, it's like they weren't paying attention enough. It's like, wait a minute, that doesn't quite work. And it didn't, you know, you have another foot chase scene, which some of the critics made fun of, but I didn't mind it. It was basically Charlie Sheen getting into a subway system. Now, I don't know if there are subway systems in Washington, D.C. Some people told me there aren't. Anyone who lives in D.C., you can let me know, are there subways? Because if there's not, then they made a mess up, a fuck up. But I didn't know that unless I read it up, so. And basically, another assassin's driving a motorcycle through the subway tunnel, and Charlie Sheen's being chased. Just to one of those things, pulls it so the train goes another way and smacks the guy. I thought that was cool. The ending where Stephen Lane finally gets the assassination is kind of silly. Granted, it's never been done before, so it was kind of entertaining to watch, but at the same time, I can understand people thinking it's silly, because the big plan is Donald Sutherland and these other guys want to assassinate the president. That's the big conspiracy. They want to assassinate the president because the president's going to pass this new initiative that they're afraid is going to hurt the country. So, you know, killing the president, that's, you know, that's the right way to go. But Stephen Lane's bid thing, like he's an assassin, is he brings his bid box in, and it's a fucking toy helicopter that he starts up and starts shooting like random people. I'm like, okay, why didn't you float the fucking thing to where the president is, aim on the president, and then shoot him? No, he starts flying and firing blindly, killing people. They're covering the president. I guess none of them can shoot a fucking toy helicopter. I mean, I think if you're protecting the president, you should, you know, have a marksman. You know, be good at marksmanship. No, they can't even, they don't even really shoot at the fucking little toy helicopter. And and Charlie Sheen saves the president, unleashes like balloons. You know, like when they have a gala, sometimes they let balloons fall down at a certain point. He unleashes it in the balloons. I guess somehow stop the helicopter and crashes to the ground and blows up. And which is, Stephen Lane is a horrible assassin. Not only did he fuck that up, then he just runs in and he like goes through this thing, and the way he goes like this, like literally he like the way he shoots, like he jumps and goes, like literally. So Charlie Sheen grabs it down, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, Stephen Lane, this is like the worst assassin ever. So I know, I keep picking on the film. I mean, the film, it went by at a decent pace. The conspiracy, really, you know, it's not much to it. The plot really isn't much that you haven't seen before. But I don't know, I like Charlie Sheen. Linda Hamilton, even though she had really nothing to do, I like her as an actress. And, you know, it's basically a couple of chase sequences. You know, foot chase scenes, some decent stunt work, like one of those window washing things that Charlie Sheen's character, he gets shot at on one of those things and it tips, and then, you know, the guy falls. Now, granted, the guy falls, Charlie Sheen's character, he doesn't fall through the glass. He hits and slides down, but yet the thing above smashes through. I don't know, what did he smash through? Well, it didn't bother me. And yeah, I mean, granted, there's certain stuff like, you know, they get into the White House pretty easily, even though they're supposed to be looking for these two. Yet, you know, they show their badges saying their name, but yet they're able to go in pretty easily. I know a big thing that critics complain about is, well, another action scene is, I thought it was a decent scene, like the scene in the subway, which again, I don't know if there's subways in D.C., but there's an elevator, and Charlie Sheen has a fight in the elevator, and it gets off kilter and such. That was decent. Nothing to run home about, but decent. So they escape, and all of a sudden they're underneath the tunnels of the White House, and then they make like a few turns and then they're in the middle of the street. And people are like, that's how dumb do they think we are? Now, great, I've never been underground of D.C., so I don't know how the tunnels are. I don't know how easy or how hard it is, but I guess that maybe they know more, so, But again, there's certain illogical stuff, like, the assassin was horrible. The plot, I mean, like, Donald Sutherland's character, I really didn't understand his character because, like, 90% of the film, he seems like a nice guy. Then it just seemed like they really wanted to force in, oh yeah, we gotta make Donald Sutherland the bad guy. So let's have him so that they looked on the computer, which is dumb. On the guy's own computer actually says this professor guy, terminate with extreme caution by ... Donald Sutherland's character. I'm like, wow, why don't you just leave a note that says, hey, I killed this guy, Donald Sutherland. Just leave a note right on the just a fucking notepad right on there, why don't you? But, so again, there are illogical stuff. They're like, oh, wait a minute, huh? Like, they got in the White House really easily, and Stephen Lang got here to here, and, he's trying to shoot at Charlie Sheen, and just for luck, a motorcycle happens to go by, and he hits the motorcycle by mistake. I mean, the action scenes, I mean, they're nothing to run home about, but they were decent. I thought decent chase scenes. And yeah, I like Charlie Sheen, but there's some illogical stuff in it. Linda Hamilton really had nothing to do. Stephen Lang was a horrible assassin. Sam Waterston made I think, a shitty president. Just nothing likable about the guy. Just really bad acting. Donald Sutherland, his turn as the bad guy, like, he never really seemed like a bad guy. It really seemed like forced in there, like, oh, might as well. Because there are times where Donald Sutherland is meeting Charlie Sheen alone, but yet, doesn't shoot him, doesn't wound him, doesn't do anything. So yeah, it's kind of like one of those things like, sorry, I'm itching. But because of, how illogical, certain stuff is, it just doesn't make sense, make you probably go, waste of talent for Linda Hamilton, and Donald Sutherland, he's played this role in his sleep. Sam Waterston, horrible president. Stephen Lang, even just shitty, one of the shittiest assassins I've seen in recent memory. But, again, it was an okay time where, so, I turned my brain off. I had some fun with some decent times with the chase scenes with Charlie Sheen. I like Charlie Sheen in the movie. People gave him a bad rep, but I thought Charlie Sheen did fine as the character Bobby Bishop. I think he did fine. He did what he could. Decent chase scenes. Fun ending with a toy helicopter shooting the shit out of the place. Kind of reminds me of the Deadpool with the little car with the bomb. Just like, why use a little car for the bomb? And it's like, why not? So I at least give him credit. It was original. It doesn't make sense, but it's original. So I guess even though it's silly, I was entertained by it. But yeah, I mean, I can understand why this film was a flop. I mean, this is one of those things, I can understand why. Charlie Sheen, Donald Sutherland, Linda Hamilton, they're not really big names to bring in box office dollars. Just really isn't. It's not like Charlie Sheen's name. Like, he's made some fun ones. Like, I like Terminal Velocity. I like The Chase, but it's not like they were big box office hits. This is one of his lesser films. So I can understand it as people like, well, this doesn't make sense and this and that. I can understand it. I mean, I'm not giving it really a good review. It's just, at best, an okay time waster, but a lot of it doesn't make sense, or it just, it's not too memorable of a movie. But yeah, I can understand why it was a big flop. It came out January 31st of 1997. I think I remember reading one time this film was delayed. Like, the studio wanted to delay the release. But that's what happens. They delay the release and then they just throw it on January. That's what happens a lot. Because January, bad month for movies. Unless you're a movie like The Devil Inside that somehow made money. I don't know how. But really bad. Yeah, not too good. Not too good of a... And it was released by a company, one of the companies was Synergy, with Andrew G. Vajna created. And they did not have a good track record, because you look at the films they have released. Like, the only films that were hits were, let's see, Die Hard 3 and Tombstone. They also did Judge Dredd, Evita, Renaissance Man, Super Mario Bros., Medicine Man, Color of Night, Scarlet Letter, Nixon, this film, D Rising, and Alan Smithy film, all big flops. So, all in all, mediocre film, decent time waster, nothing more. I can understand why it flopped, because January is a bad release date, and just a lot of bad stuff to it. You know, just, there were a lot of political thrillers. Murder 1600 I like better. Maybe people got tired of it. Charlie Sheen's not really a big box office draw. And the film itself, again, at best, is an okay time waster. So I can understand why it was a bit flop. I'm sure they probably didn't have much promotion, too. It's like, Shadow Conspiracy, Oscar, we're not going to promote it. But either way, thanks for watching another episode, and stay tuned for more. Later.